Jay Crouch here with Grant Liffmann to talk about best draft fits in the lottery for 5 teams that we see as among the most compelling. 3 teams right at the top, and then another couple lower in the lottery. But Washington, Memphis, Chicago, Atlanta, Golden State, we're going to rapidly go through these 5 teams. Let's start off at the top with Washington. Who do you think is the best draft fit for the Wizards, Grant?
I think AJ DeBonsa fits perfectly with the Washington Wizards. And we saw his measurements and we saw what he could do at the combine. He's 6'10" in shoes. He can jump out of the gym. He can do all these things. And all those things fit perfectly with the team that they're trying to put together. You have Trae Young, who could easily bring out the best of a player like that. You have other guys that they have drafted recently that actually build out around him. You have George, Sarr, Trey Johnson, all these guys, Koulibaly. These are all players that don't get in the way of AJ DeBonsa's development. Anthony Davis is another guy that gets to put in the front line, and if he's there to stay, think about the size you're putting from the wing spot to the center spot to surround a guy like Trae Young, who really could use that length around him. AJ DeBonsa fits perfectly. Yes, maybe Darren Peterson wants to go there, and I could see, sure, maybe another playmaker, a guy who can have the ball in his hands next to Trae Young. That could work as well. But to me, DeBonsa fits perfectly for the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, I think DeBonsa, it makes the most sense as well. The only thing I would say is that I don't think that having Trae Young on the roster should preclude Washington from taking Darren Peterson if they think that he is the best player. I wouldn't be worried so much about what Trae Young is going to be doing in 3 or 4 years in terms of what impacts this draft pick, but I agree it is likely DeBonsa. Let's go to Memphis. Cam Boozer consistently mocked here. Do you think that he is the best fit?
Yes, without a doubt, Cam Boozer. And if he's there at number 3, if he is not taken before then, Cam Boozer is a guy that fits in so many different ways. And number 1, Zach Kleiman is an analytical guy. He wants to look at the analytics and the advanced metrics. And Cam Boozer is the number 1 player in the draft when it comes to that. And there's a reason why so many people are pointing Cam Boozer to Memphis. And that is because he just won't make it past there. It is not a fact, but it's something as close to it can be, because Kleiman is really built his whole franchise on the idea that analytics matter and advanced metrics matter. So you look at a guy like Cam Boozer, and if you're trying to redo the culture and redo the organization that is the Memphis Grizzlies, they got rid of Jaren Jackson Jr., they got rid of Desmond Bane. That era is done. Ja Morant is still there, but they have been trying to move off of him. That is a known fact. So Cam Boozer is there, and he could play very nicely with another guy in Zach Edey if he's ever healthy, right next to him. You put the size behind him. If you have any issues or any thoughts about defensive issues, you put the size and Edey right next to him. But Cam Boozer can do it all. He's the type of guy, a focal point for a basketball team to build winning culture and winning attributes and really bring out a new bravado from a team. Cam Boozer fits perfectly in Memphis.
Okay. Grizzlies picking 3rd. The team after them, Chicago, picking 4th. I tend to think the best fit for Chicago is just whoever isn't taken in the top 3 picks out of the consensus top 4, and that I think is likely going to end up being Caleb Wilson.
I think Caleb Wilson actually fits them perfectly as well. And if I'm them, there might be a weird moment where what if one of those guys fall and it's between Caleb Wilson and another one, maybe a Cam Boozer. And I could see Bryson Graham really having a difficult decision with this, because I think he really fits the mold of what a Bryson Graham team is. Young, athletic, long, lengthy, and defensive-minded. If Wemby wasn't there in the league, I think this guy could have Defensive Player of the Year type attributes in the future. Unfortunately, Wemby's there, so no one else is going to win Defensive Player of the Year forever. But Caleb Wilson is the type of player that a Chicago Bulls team is trying to build. Because also, let's keep in mind, he's probably the most raw of the top guys right now, especially offensively. So you got to build him. And luckily for this Chicago Bulls team, there is no expectations for them to at least even make the play in this year. This is a team that needs to develop. That's why Caleb Wilson fits to a T, especially if they want to couple him next to a guy like Modest Buzelis.
Yeah, they just need to add talent, sheer talent to the roster, and Caleb Wilson will certainly achieve that if he is there for them. Let's go to Atlanta at number 8. They're in an interesting position coming off, an incredible second half surge and actually taking 2 games off the Knicks, which no one else did in the playoffs. Who do you think is the best fit for the Hawks?
So the Hawks can go many different ways, of course, but the one thing that they kind of lack the most in is the guard play. They have guys who can play guard. They had CJ McCollum playing there. They had Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels, and these guys can play make it, but they are not true point guards. So they could go the guard route, but they also don't have a true big. You have Onyeka Okongwu, who has done a really good job developing his game, spacing the floor, doing all these things. But when it comes to rim protection, true rim protection, he is not that guy. So it really was hard for me to go away from Adai Mara for the Hawks in this situation because I think he would fit very well. But the guy I keep on coming back to is Kingston Flemings. And he is somebody that young, youthful, but also fast, electric type player, a downhill type guy, runs the lane. And another guy that can start the blender for a Quinn Snyder offense. This offense is predicated on the idea that the ball moves, but also the players move. And once a defense starts shifting around and trying to catch up, that is when the Hawks are at their best. Kingston Flemings is a guy that can initiate that. Sure, he has some shortcomings right now with his shot. Maybe his three-point shot isn't as good as some of the other guards. Maybe he's a little smaller, so he's not going to project as a top defender. But one thing I do know, you put him in a Quinn Snyder offense, running the floor, pushing the pace, getting to the rim, spraying it out the ball, and really getting to generate as a playmaker, that is the type of guy that I think would fit perfectly with the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to just get some young guard talent in because CJ McCollum, obviously, in the twilight of his career, and Nickeil Alexander, more of an off-ball guard for the most part. Another name I would throw out is Mikal Brown because the Hawks, they're very much they've tied their future to Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson as two key pieces. And if those two guys are going to be formative parts of the core, then I think with the rest of the roster, you need to over-index on shooting and offense. And Mikal Brown has incredibly deep range. His biggest shortcoming potentially is defense, but that's why you have Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker potentially around him on the roster. Let's close out with the Golden State Warriors. Often they pick in the lottery, but they have the 11th pick here. Who do you like for them?
There's many different ways they can go with this one. And again, I have heard that a lot of the consensus lottery guys top 10, top 8 that have just been projected for months now, they might slip. There are a couple guys in there that might slip. And one of them who is projected to move all the way up, potentially in the top 8 in Adai Mara, could also be one of those guys. And Mara fits exactly what the Warriors need right now. They are a team lacking many different things, but one thing they're definitely lacking is size on the interior to really help Draymond Green and these guys really prevent people from getting to the rim. When Jimmy Butler was healthy and Draymond was healthy and everything, they were a top defensive team. Putting a guy like Mara out there to help solidify them that much more, this massive behemoth that can stand at the rim and block some shots, that is important. But offensively, the interesting thing about Mara, while we do not know if he'll ever really develop an outside shot, it's potential, but we don't know. The passing ability is something that is so key for a Golden State Warriors center. When they have been good, when this team has been at the top of their game with a Steph Curry and people flying off screens, they have always had a good passing center, whether it be Andrew Bogut or Zaza Pachulia or even Kevon Looney. The passing center matters, and Mara is an exceptional passing center, especially for his size.
Yep, I think that makes sense. And also, another name I'd throw out is Yaxel Lenderborg, just because for a lot of teams, Lenderborg being 24 is going to be a problem. Not for the Warriors. He'll fit right in. Was an incredibly old team already, and I think his all-round game would fit nicely next to a ton of high IQ players in Golden State.
Hit subscribe for more news, highlights, and analysis from the NBA on NBC.